Thank you very much. I am excited to be here. I am Corinne Pickett, as she said. I'm a board certified music therapist. I hope that I have put something together today that's going to be really useful for you. I consulted with one of my colleagues who's a music therapist and a social worker, and so hopefully everything here is to your benefit. Just to introduce myself a little bit, let me find my screen. I did my undergraduate here at Utah State University. I'm back here as a temporary professor in the music therapy program. I have a master's degree in music therapy from St. Mary of the Woods College, and I have a pretty wide range of clinical experience with individuals with disabilities, youth and teen and community behavioral clinics, older adults with Parkinson's, dementia, Alzheimer's. I have worked in cancer units before, and then I have experience with individuals who are experiencing various forms of mental illness. So, a little bit about my background. But today we're talking about kids and regulation. And I want to start with a moment that many of you maybe have probably experienced in some form or another. You're working with a child who's had a long day, and maybe they've already been to school, they've had multiple appointments, maybe there was a transition or something that came up in their day that was unexpected. And you can start to see that they're feeling something in their body. Their body is restless, their voice is loud, or maybe they've gone quiet and they've withdrawn. Then something small tips it over the edge. A limit, a transition, a question. Suddenly there's tears, there's yelling, there's running, or a complete shutdown. And you try to do what you've been trained to do. You offer choices, maybe you name feelings, you remain calm, you remind them of the coping skills that you practiced together, and none of it is landing. Maybe a little later, the child is able to talk about it, and they say something like, I knew what I was supposed to do, I just couldn't. That moment tells us something really important. It wasn't a lack of insight, it wasn't a lack of practice, it was a nervous system that didn't have the capacity to regulate yet. And today we're going to talk about regulation kind of through this lens. We are going to look at why talking in the moment often doesn't work, how sensory processing plays into the role of regulation, and how tools like music can support regulation from a bottom-up approach when kids need it most. So today we will look at understanding how music impacts regulation. By the end, you'll be able to recognize sensory seeking behavior versus sensory avoiding patterns as they relate to regulation, and then identify simple, concrete musical tools that can help children to regulate. I have purposely made this presentation in a way that you don't have to be a musical person in order to utilize the tools that I'm going to share with you today. So never fear. Whatever musical ability you have, the tools will be useful to you. But we need to start in a place of common language. So what is regulation? Regulation is the ability to manage, adjust internal states of arousal and emotion. These allow a person to engage, to participate, to connect, to process, to learn. A regulated state supports flexibility, safety, and responsiveness. Now, I think one of the common things that I see about regulation is that regulation means calm. That when someone is regulated, it means that they're calm, or that to become regulated, I have to calm. And that's not always the case. Sometimes regulation looks like increasing alertness, playful excitement within safe limits, or expressive release. Regulation doesn't always look like being quiet or being still. And getting to a place of regulation doesn't always look like, let's take a deep breath and our body will be able to come online and we'll feel better. So I like to think about it in this way. Regulation is like driving a car. When you're in your vehicle and you're headed up a hill, that car needs more gas in order to make it up the hill. So you've got to press on the gas pedal and give the car more. As you're coming down the hill, if you continue to press on that gas pedal at the rate that you were as you were going up the hill, your car is going to go out of control. It's going to go too fast. You're going to go down the hill. So you've got to come off the gas pedal and coast, and or sometimes step on the brake in order for the car to be in a safe place. Regulation is very similar to this. Sometimes we have to give more. Sometimes we need more. And sometimes we've got to come off. And we'll talk about this in the sense of sensory input and things like that. But before we get there, some more common language to just make sure we're all on the same page. This idea of regulation comes in stages. When we are a baby, we might have external regulation, or I've seen auto-regulation. Sometimes babies can self-regulate by sticking a thumb in their mouth. Often, though, they need direct intervention from an outside person to help their body to feel safe. So they seek external regulation. Co-regulation is this idea that you still need support from someone on the outside in order to regulate, but you're able to do those things a little bit more with assistance. And then self-regulation is this idea that you've co-regulated enough, you've learned enough that you're able to put the gas down or bring up the gas yourself and do these things to help your body and your nervous system to come to a state of regulation. We're talking about kids today, and kids co-regulate often. It's developmentally appropriate for them to co-regulate. Self-regulation is a skill that is learned, and ideally we could say, by 7, 8, 9, they're starting to be able to self-regulate on their own. But the reality is, kids who have a trauma background, kids who have who are neurodiverse, co-regulation might be something that is needed longer. And what this means is that you're part of regulating with them. And so we have to be able to be in a state where we can help them with that. Now, sensory processing plays a role in this because we're constantly taking in input from sound, movement, touch, light, other people, and our nervous systems use that input to decide, are we safe? Do I need more or less stimulation? Children often inherently kind of know what their body needs. So if they're seeking or avoiding sensory input, what they're trying to do is regulate their nervous system. Now we have two different kinds of sensory processors. There are sensory seekers. These are individuals they have a high sensory threshold. Their brain needs more sensation in order to feel organized, so they crave that stimulating input. This might look like the kid who wakes up in the morning and they're crashing into things. They're running from end to end of the house and they crash into the couch, and they're jumping off the couch and they're spinning circles. They might touch a lot of things. They might push against someone. Like if they're sitting on the couch and they put their feet on somebody and they're pushing against someone. This might look like someone who's constantly chewing on things. They might be chewing on their shirt. They might be chewing on pencils. This is the person in your meeting who is constantly doing things like this. These are sensory seekers, and they need more things to feel organized and regulated. Sensory avoiders, these are individuals who they have a lower sensory threshold. Their brain is more easily overwhelmed by stimuli, and so they might need calmer stimulation. It doesn't mean they don't need stimulation, but they need less or things that are not as intense. These kiddos might cover their ears if there's a loud siren that goes past or the music's too loud. They avoid unpleasant textures. These are the kiddos that can't stand a tag touching their skin. They avoid crowds. They dislike bright lights. They want to be alone. In the adult world, these things are still true. It might look like getting headaches if you're around a lot of bright lights. It might look like getting agitated when you're in crowds. Now, the tricky thing is that we have sensory seekers and we have sensory avoiders, and we have people who are kind of a mix. And so there might be people who are auditory sensory seekers who need loud music, but they don't do well with certain textures. So there's things to think about, but all of this plays into regulation, because if the senses that are coming in around you are overwhelming you, or they're not enough, you're going to be in a state of dysregulation. So these are things that we have to consider if we're thinking about helping someone to feel regulated. And I think you probably could think about a group of kids that you've been around or a single client, and you could probably take a moment and identify them as a sensory seeker or a sensory avoider. This is why many of our classrooms now have fidget toys that are available, or bouncy things under chairs that are available, because we're starting to recognize that this is part of the bigger picture in regulation and helping people to be ready to process and learn and connect. So the next question becomes, how do we notice this for and with our clients? Having shared language is a really simple way to identify what's happening. Now, these early signs of dysregulation are great for us to notice and think about, and we might point out at some points to our clients or the people that we're working with, but some of the systems that I'm going to show you might make it a little bit easier. So this is a zone of regulation chart. This is probably the most commonly used, and most of you have probably seen something like this. This gives language to what the body is feeling. The blue zone, they're feeling sad, maybe tired, bored, they're moving slowly. What I love about this system is that it doesn't just have negative emotions, right? The yellow, if you look in the yellow zone can mean I'm excited. And when I'm excited, it might feel like I'm a little less in control of my body. That can be dysregulated. The red zone has elated. I feel out of control of my body. I can feel elated, especially as a kid. I can be so excited about something that I have lost control, whether yeah, I have my top brain, my cognitive brain is no longer online, and I am just in the moment feeling elated. That is a state of dysregulation. It's not just negative emotions that bring us to dysregulation. And then the green zone is focused, calm, feeling okay, we're ready to learn, we're happy. This one is for much younger kids, but the idea is the same, simpler language. I'm feeling turtle speed. Turtles, kids know. Turtles are slow. Turtles maybe hide in their shell when they're feeling scared. Turtles just take a different speed than bunnies, who are social, who are bouncing around, who are all over the place. And this simplifies the language so much more for kids. And it's not, it's less of a cognitive and more of a, how's your body feeling? Do you feel like a bunny? Do you feel like a turtle? Or do you feel just right? And then helping them understand when we're feeling turtle speed, we want to be able to do something with our body to help us feel just right, so that we're no longer feeling sleepy or scared, like we want to hide. Or if we're feeling bunny speed, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, it just means that we're not really ready to focus. We've got to do something to help our body to get out of bunny speed. Now this is the last system I'll show you. This is similar to the car analogy. How's my motor running? Am I running too slow? Am I running too fast? Or just right? But again, this simplifies the language and brings it to a place where it's easy for them to identify with. Now, these are not systems that I would probably introduce in a moment of dysregulation. These are tools that I would share when a child is feeling just right and they're ready to learn and they're ready to cognitively process. But in those moments of dysregulation, if this has been introduced, then they might have some shared language to talk about it. The other thing that I want to just mention is that it's not the child's fault that they feel dysregulated. And so if we can take the emphasis away from the behavior that is happening because of their dysregulation, if we can try to diminish the shame and emphasize curiosity or simple observations. I notice today your hands look really excited. They look like they want to move. Can we give your hands a job? Rather than, man, can you just hold still for just a minute? Or your foot that's been tapping for the last 10 minutes is too loud. I notice your foot looks like it really wants to move. How can we help your foot feel like it needs to move? Let's do something with that. Behavior is communication. And so if we can start to look through the lens of what is trying to be communicated here. Are they feeling like they need stimulation? And so they're tapping their feet, or their hands are touching, or they have nonstop talked since the minute they sat down. None of those things are bad, but they're communicating something. So if we can observe that with curiosity and take away some of the shame, I think it will help kids to feel like we're on their side, and help them to recognize what's happening in their body for themselves. Remembering that in moments of dysregulation, this kind of high brain thinking just is not possible. And so these moments need to come when we're talking about how their body is processing something, or I noticed last week that this was happening. What was happening for you in this moment? Those are kind of the high brain moments. We're going to talk about music in the context of a bottom-up approach. And this is the idea that you're engaging the body in those lower areas of the brain through sound, through sensory experiences that are going to help the brain to process and come back to the state of regulation. Top-down thinking has a time and a place, and it's very important, but talking about it, being meditative about something isn't necessarily always possible in a moment of dysregulation. I do also want to just point out this visual. Food and water is really important. And I'm going to talk about music and how important that is. But I've had moments and experiences where kiddos have come home from school and I'm here in their home ready to participate in a session, and they hide under the table. And I have changed the music multiple times to try and engage and try and reach them. And until they were able to have a snack, they're just not ready to come back online. So sometimes that food and water is really important. And just making sure they have what their body needs. So music specifically is a bottom-up regulator. It can be a top-down, depending on how you use it, but music reaches the nervous system directly. We know from research that sound and rhythm affect heart rate and breathing and muscle tension, emotional state, and attention before a child even has chance to think about it. And we know that this works because music engages many areas of the brain at once. Where speech and motor and emotions have a specific area of the brain that are engaged at one time, music elicits activity across many brain areas. And so we're able to access kind of some of these areas naturally through music. Neuroplasticity is a really great benefit too, that the brain's able to adapt and create new neural pathways, and music is a really powerful way to do that. Some of the research looked at music with young kiddos in preschools, and this particular study took a group of 4 preschool classes and gave them a music program. And before this music program, they looked at these kiddos' inhibitory control and their regulation skills. And then after the music had been implemented, and they found that music increased inhibitory control, which is the core executive function that allows you to manage impulses, suppress automatic responses, and ignore distractions. Very much part of regulation. And they found that music built regulation over time. This particular study was done with kids in low socioeconomic neighborhoods, and so they found that it was powerful for kids that had high stress. And one of the things that they did find was that older preschoolers showed greater self-regulation, which is just this idea that co-regulation is the precursor to self-regulation, and as kids age, they're able to do that more on their own. Another study looked at exploring music with kindergartners. No, this was just an age older, and there were 13 sessions where they implemented musical play intervention. Now, you'll notice neither of these are music therapy specific. This is simply musical play and music education. I did that for a reason, because these things have a lot of really great benefit. So This study found again that musical play supports the development of self-regulation, and they specifically looked at emotional regulation, motivational and cognitive regulation, and metacognitive skills, and found that there were improvements in all of those things. We're talking about regulation in this umbrella kind of term today, but certainly music has benefit for different types of regulation. What I loved about this study is that music showed the most benefit when it was interactive, relational, and rhythmic. Music makes connections. And the tools that I'm gonna share with you today are gonna be effective if you're doing them too. If you just turn on a song for a kid and you say, here, listen to this song for a minute while I finish my notes, it's not gonna have the same benefit or the same reaction if you're not involved. Music is a powerful tool for connection. And then the other cool thing that this study found was that music did not just change behavior in the moment, it helped to build regulation capacity. So this idea of long-term skills. We know that music is meaningful for children because it's a natural language for children before verbal skills develop. It can support emotional expression when words are limited or unavailable. Let me really quick change. I'm hoping you're not picking up on all of the chitter chatter that's outside, but let me noise removal on for a minute so that hopefully you won't. Music supports emotional expression when words are limited or unavailable. Rhythm and melody helps to organize attention, movement, and arousal, which are all so important for regulation. It creates predictability and safety because of music and its structure. It's so good to be a container that is predictable and safe. It makes connections and attachment, and then it invites play, creativity, choice, and increasing engagement, which are all really great benefits. Now, what we do as music therapists is we take these things that we know to be true about music and we create musical interventions which are going to accomplish individualized goals. Music therapy specifically, we're taking all of the clinical and evidence-based things and we're saying, okay, this person needs to work on attention to task. So I'm going to create an intervention that's going to create these moments that are elongated a little bit more each time so that they can stay attentive to the task for a little bit longer. I'm going to create a musical experience that's going to allow for expression in this moment or social engagement. The two things I couldn't not talk about music therapy, and I promise it'll be short. But I think when we work together in our common disciplines and we reach out and we send resources, our clients benefit. So the other two things to note on this is that this is done within a therapeutic relationship by a credentialed professional. Music therapists are board certified and they've completed an approved music therapy program. They have gone through an internship. We have quite a bit of training on how music affects people and how to utilize it in a therapeutic way. And so what I'm going to share with you today, these are great musical tools. They're not music therapy. I am going to share a little bit more about what music therapy looks like, and then I promise we'll get into musical tools. Do we have any questions so far, Erin? Okay, great. So music therapy specifically, we can work with anybody from baby NICU, brand new baby, to older adults who are getting ready to pass away in all of these different kinds of settings, similar to social workers are kind of across the same gamut. Um, and we're working with individuals to do things like work on developmental skills, increase autonomy, look at impulse control, increase social skills like sharing and taking turns, um, coping skills. We might be working on rehabilitation, like fine gross motor after um, a stroke has happened, or if there's physical disabilities that require kind of these rehabilitation skills. We work with communication, quality of life, cognitive flexibility, being able to be flexible in the moment and not have to stick to a rigid routine. Um, there's lots of different things that music therapists can do and different places that we work. Now, one last slide on music therapy, and then I promise we'll get into some resources. But I can't not advocate for what we do when I'm in such a wonderful group of individuals. So this is very much the umbrella of music therapy. There are four main tools that we use. And this is definitely a gross oversimplification of what we do. Um, so it's just going to scratch this a little bit, but we have these four things. Receptive music is what I think most people picture when they think of music therapy. This is somebody that's sitting with a guitar, sitting at the piano, and they're playing music. And that music has a purpose, it has a function to help relax. We might be doing music and imagery. We might be doing a lyric analysis where they're listening, they're not actively participating in the music, but they're listening to what lyrics stand out to them and how that relates to them. We might be writing songs with clients for a variety of reasons. It might be to express how they're feeling. It might be to encapsulate a memory or a moment. It might be to help them remember coping skills that they need. What's something that always comes to mind? Music. So, what a great way to remember coping skills when you're in the moment is writing it into a song that they can learn and remember for themselves. We might do improvisation with them. So this is engaging in on the spot music making that might be to express feelings. It might be to work on skills. So we might be playing drums, and I am going to stop playing my drum, and I'm going to see if my client can stop playing a drum. And we're going to do this over and over and over and practice impulse control. But it's in a musical setting. They're having fun, right? They think that they're having this really great time and it's connecting and it's eliciting emotional response too. But we're working on this really important skill of impulse control because they're having a really hard time with this outside of music therapy. And then we're going to work on generalizing this beyond the drum, beyond the music therapy setting, and back into their classroom, back into wherever their setting is. And then music recreation looks like bringing in client preferred music, something that they are already really connected to. And we might be teaching them an instrument with the purpose of helping with their fine and gross motor. It might be teaching them an instrument on this particular song to help with self-esteem. We might be using the Beatles to help somebody walk down the hallway because they're working on their gait. And we've got to get them motivated to work on their gait. And so we're using the elements of music to help their brain to process the rhythm that goes into gait. So there's a lot of different ways that we use music to help. Obviously, self-regulation is one of those areas that we use music, and we help individuals to develop coping skills and this ability to regulate. which is why I had to just throw this in there and throw a little plug in for what we do as music therapists. Now, again, we don't own music. We don't own the right to use music. And so we're going to talk about ways that you can use music. But again, I want to just emphasize these are not, you taking these and utilizing these is not music therapy. This is another common misconception is that individuals will say, well, I did music therapy for myself today because I put my headphones on. And yes, you definitely used music therapeutically. And if you use music to help a kiddo regulate, that's awesome. You used music in a really therapeutic and functional way. But music therapy is this relationship between the music therapist who is board certified, the client, and the music and what we're doing within that. Similar to, I would not call myself a social worker if I am implementing different things that you do. That's not my role. I'm also not a counselor, and I don't call myself a counselor. So there's my plug. And now I'm done. And now we can talk about how you can use music. Because this is why you all came, right? Number one, music is connection. If there's nothing else that you leave with today, I hope you leave with this. Music is an incredible connector. It has the ability to bring people on the same level, and you can utilize that. If you're meeting someone new for the very first time, they're coming in your office, they're feeling nervous, you might be feeling nervous, and you say, hey, my name is Corinne. What's your name? Well, my name is Susie. Susie, it's nice to meet you. What's a song that you really like to listen to? Well, I really like this band. Cool. Let's listen to that together for a minute. And then you have this moment where you've taken enough time to engage with someone on something that they identify with. Kiddos and teens, a lot of their identity, more teens, but kiddos for sure. Their identity is often found in their music. And so you can use that to connect with them. If you've got an older kid that comes into your office and they bring in this band and you look up the band and everything is explicit, probably you're not going to listen to it with them in that moment. There might be rules and regulations in your facility, and maybe there's not. And if not, cool, do it. But if there's rules and regulations, you can still find moments of connection. Wow, I haven't heard this band. What is it about them that you really like? What is it about their music that you really connect to? An instant moment of connection. Now, if you have small kiddos, have instruments on hand. Have a little bag of $20 Amazon instruments that you can pull out of your office and you can sit down on the floor with them and for 5 minutes play a little song before you have to get into the meat of whatever that you do. You will notice a shift and a difference in the connection that is made. I promise. And it doesn't have to sound like Mozart symphony. It doesn't have to sound like Mary Had a Little Lamb. It can just sound like you doing something together purposefully to make connection. So that's number one. Number two, regulate in the moment. We're going to spend a significant amount of time talking about how to help kiddos regulate in the moment. So I won't go too much into that right now, other than music is a great regulator. Number three, transition songs. This is a way that you can use music meaningfully. Transitions are often an area where kids feel like they don't know what's happening. They don't know what's coming next. They're going to start feeling a little out of control. They're going to start feeling a little dysregulated. If you can have some kind of transition song that makes it predictable, that makes it fun, that often will help ease some of those transition periods. And it doesn't have to be complicated. We're marching down the hall back to class. We're marching down the hall back to class. Hopefully you got that because I realized I took my music filter off. So let me come back here and yeah, okay. Um, so it doesn't have to be super complicated. And one of the really great things about music is that repetition is actually really beneficial. So if you're thinking, Corinne, I am not a musician. I'm not going to be able to make up a song. I'm not going to be able to do something on the spot. It doesn't have to be crazy. You don't need an 8-minute Bohemian Rhapsody of a transition song in order for it to be meaningful and functional. If all you can think of is it's time to go, it's time to go, I'm gonna add some rhythm because it's time to go. I said the same thing over and over and over, but music made it fun, the rhythm made it fun, and it's gonna ease some of that transition. There's also probably transition songs that you could look up on YouTube that you could learn or play on your phone. If you know that there's a kid that is just absolutely in love with the Beatles, maybe you play a Beatles song on your phone as you walk out of your office and you walk them back where they need to go. Or you're working with parents and saying, hey, I know that coming here is a really hard transition. Maybe every single time you're getting ready to come in the car, play their favorite song. And this is that moment that we're going to do this. And when they come in the office, I'm going to say, how was this song today? Because I know you listened to it on the way. And they're going to be like, yeah, cool. So music and transitions can be really powerful. The fourth way I want to talk about, and I can't not talk about, is using music in your own self-care. If the goal is that we're co-regulating with these small, lovely humans, that means that we need to be in the best place that we possibly can in order to help them regulate. Music is an incredible way for you in the moment to ground, for you in the moment to release. If you can use music more functionally in your life, you can see a difference in your self-care. Now, I'm not talking about just turning on the radio and listening to whatever comes on. You have to be intentional about what you're doing. So this might be listening to one of your favorite songs in the morning when you get up because you know that it feeds you. You're going to take that 3 to 4 minutes to listen to that song. And maybe during that time, you're going to do something else like take deep breaths, or you're going to stretch, or maybe you're going to do jumping jacks to get you pumped up for the day because, man almighty, you're exhausted from the day before. You had a whole bunch of really hard appointments the day before, or something really hard happened, and you've got to get yourself pumped up and ready for the day. Maybe you have a drive between facilities. This might look like listening to music that you know is going to help between those drives. And or there's some songs that I'll share with you today that you can use if you just need to have a little bit of a music break. Just take a moment for yourself and have a break. So those are kind of the 4 ways that you can utilize music in really meaningful ways. We're going to get into regulation. Do we have any questions before we move into music for regulation? Okay, cool. If we have questions come up, um, put them in the chat. Okay, here we go. Sorry. The very first thing we're going to talk about is movement songs because I really want to push against the stigma that regulation is. Let's listen to this calming music and we're going to take deep breaths and then I'm going to feel better. So we're starting with high movement songs. The benefits of these, they're going to oxygenate the brain. That is going to improve focus. This releases endorphins. It reduces cortisol. It provides sensory stimulation and it channels energy positively. So I'm going to play a little bit of the song for you. This is Raffi. And let me know if the music doesn't come through.
Gotta shake, shake, shake my sillies out. Shake, shake, shake my sillies out. Shake, shake, shake my sillies out and wiggle my waggles away. I gotta clap, clap, clap my crazies out. Clap, clap, clap my crazies out. Clap, clap, clap my crazies out and wiggle my waggles away. I gotta jump, jump, jump my jiggles out. Jump, jump, jump my jiggles out. Jump, jump, jump my jiggles out and wiggle my waggles away.
I love it. Oh, wait, hold on.
I gotta yawn, yawn, yawn my sleepies out. Yawn, yawn, yawn my sleepies out.
Okay,
Yawn.
so I love this song because there's really purposeful movement happening. The idea is I'm giving you permission. I'm giving you permission to shake and move. Like you got to get your sillies out, right? But there's also this shift. I'm gonna yawn, yawn, yawn my sillies out. And music like this that has kind of this moment or this arc that comes down is so good. Because what happens if a kid is shaking, 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 shaking their sillies out? Sometimes they can get dysregulated the opposite direction, right? And so if we want movement songs, we want songs that are inviting this kind of movement, but they're also grounded in a really nice rhythm, or they're kind of giving this opposite, like, yes, and now we're going to take a minute to breathe, right? I love, Aaron, that your son loves this song. It's a good one. Rafi is so good. So movement songs, and I'll have some more at the end. But here's another one that you might be familiar with. This is We Are the Dinosaurs from the Laurie Berkner Band. You can feel that really big pulse. Right? It's giving them permission to move. This is the purpose of a movement song is I see you're seeking sensory. I see that your body needs to move. I see this as a moment that we need to take. I'm going to give you permission to do that. The music does this in a really beautiful, contained way. So movement songs are a great place to start. Body percussion is another really great tool. The benefits of body percussion is that it involves mirroring, this idea of mirror neurons, which is good for co-regulation. I'm following a movement that you're doing, and in my brain is firing these mirror neurons that are helping me to feel connected, that are helping me to feel safe. It activates the vagus nerve, which especially if you're doing body percussion, that's kind of here in the middle, you're going to activate the vagus nerve, which is going to help to regulate. You're involving proprioceptive input, which is naturally calming, right? This idea that I'm tapping on my body and it's telling my muscles, it's telling my joints, you're good, you're safe, you're okay. Bilateral coordination, which is really good for the brain. If you're crossing the midline, so you might do things where you're purposefully doing body percussion. I'm bringing my knees up really high, so hopefully you can see them. I wouldn't probably do that if I were, but I'd keep my knees down and do some of this bilateral coordination, which is like a brain massage. Crossing your arms over gives you this kind of bear hug type thing. And then interpersonal entrainment, this idea that you're connecting with someone else. Entrainment is the idea that your body is coming online with whatever is happening. If someone is entraining to the music, it means that they're naturally going along with whatever the beat is. It means that their heart rate is syncing with the beat. And so body percussion is a really great way to do that. And so you might notice a kiddo who's like, their feet are moving, they're going crazy. And so you say, hey, your feet look like they want to dance. We're going to dance. And I'm going to bring back, hold on. so that you can hear the rhythm and it doesn't noise cancel it out. The joys. Okay, so you might bring them here. Your feet look like they want to dance. Let's let them dance. We're gonna dance our feet and we're gonna add in some hands. Follow me. You might do the Macarena. You might do head, shoulders, knees, and toes. These are all really great kind of ideas of body percussion, and you're bringing this in. It doesn't have to have background music to it. It can, certainly. You could put on a song. I have a resource that takes you to a whole playlist of body percussion background that you can use, but a really great tool. Now, body percussion might not always be appropriate. Maybe this kiddo has sensory sensitivities. Maybe they have trauma, and there's different reasons why body percussion might not be the best choice. You can still do percussion, and you can get creative with this. Hey, can you find something around here that you can use as an instrument? And you might want to put rules on it. It can't come off the walls and it can't break. But they can find different things that you can play music with. Right? So there's these different things that you can bring in. Yes, I will send the link to the songs. I have a whole reference that I'll send at the end that has links to a lot of things. And just taking a minute to be kind of in this rhythm with them, to be in a place of organized music making. It doesn't have to be long, it doesn't have to be crazy, but you've had this moment to connect with them. Okay, another great thing to do, hum or sing along. If you notice that someone is feeling dysregulated, the benefits of humming or singing are really great because, again, it activates the vagus nerve. It's going to naturally lower cortisol because you're stimulating oxytocin and you're releasing endorphins. It can improve mood. It can increase your sense of connection. And so this might look like just singing or humming a tone. Can you hum with me? It might look like, I'm going to hum a song and I want you to see if you can think what it is. Now you've made it a game. What song was that? Ah, I know. It was Mary Had a Little Lamb. That's awesome. Great job. Can you do it with me? Now you're humming with them. You're getting them to take deep breaths because they have to breathe before the next phrase, the next line. It might look like, and this one looks a little silly. I do acknowledge that. But if you can put your hands on your face and just hum a tone, the vibrations that happen in your face feel really tactilely pleasing for most people and can feel really calming. You might turn on a song and say, you know what, we're just going to sing to the top of our lungs to this song. You have been chit-chatting and I love that. Let's sing to a song. Let's sing to a song together, and then let's see if we can come back together and be ready to work. So different ways that you can hum or sing. Now, here's the stereotypical breathe, calm music that we think of when we think of regulation. This is a song by Stephanie Lavelle, and I'm going to play this so that you can hear it.
Just breathe. Take a deep breath and just breathe. take a deep breath and just breathe.
Maybe do the actions with it for a minute. While you listen, I'm going to sneak out for just a second.
Stretch your fingers to the sky and breathe. Just breathe. Take a deep breath and just breathe.
And then she goes back into this idea of breathe again. I hope you can feel the shift kind of in yourself and what that did for you in that moment. Calming music can lower heart rate. Its grounding and predictable rhythms provide safety and stability. It can reduce stress hormones, and it can build self-control. This idea of, you know what, I can slow down and I can breathe is building self-control. Another one that's really good is this song called Bear Hug by her.
Give yourself a bear hug because you're strong. Give yourself a bear hug because you're brave. Give yourself a bear hug 'cause you're important. Give yourself a bear hug every day.
What I love about this song is it's still calm. They're still coming down, but it's involving that proprioceptive input by having them give themselves a bear hug. This idea that your body needs that sensory input, and I can still need that in more of a calm and soothing way, rather than here I'm going to stomp around or I'm going to do these big things. So when you're looking for songs that are more calming, they have really great ones that have prompts. You definitely want something that is more grounded. And what I mean by that is some of the adult relaxations that we listen to have kind of this, I don't know what else to call it, like a woo-woo tone. It's not really musical, it's not really whatever, but it's just kind of this woo that goes on and on forever and ever and ever. Or the music is kind of up in la la land. You want something that feels grounding, and you can feel it in your body. All right, here's another tool that you can use. You can draw to music. Hey, I noticed your hands look busy. Let's give them a job. Let's draw to some music. Now, you might put on kid-friendly music. You might put on something that's more like a yoga playlist that's going to be a little bit more calming and not have words. But the benefits of this is that it's promoting them to be calm. It's providing a sensory experience, but in a low stimulation way. It is also involving nonverbal expression. You don't have to tell them to draw anything specific, but the reality is their subconscious is probably going to draw whatever they feel like is going to feel best for them in that moment. And it might have something as a starting point that you can talk about. And then it's going to connect them to their body sensations. So drawing to music can be really beneficial too. And again, another moment break for you, because I would recommend that you be involved and draw yourself too, because it's this moment of connection. Here's another song. This one is great. Again, by Stephanie Level. She has so many great resources. She's a music therapist, so the stuff that she does is written for a purpose. This is called Light a Candle. Really easy. You need a hand and a flame, and that's it. And it goes like this. Light a candle, blow it out. Light a candle, blow it out. Light a candle, blow it out. Light a candle, blow above it. Blow below it. Blow all around it. Light a candle, blow it out. 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 What's really great about this one is that you're getting kids to breathe. And you're not saying, okay, we need to take some deep breaths now. We're going to light a candle and we're going to blow it out. So let's play. Can you light your candle? Light a candle, blow it out. If you're not musical, light a candle, blow it out. Don't sing it. You can speak it with rhythm, and it's still meaningful. But the cool thing too is that you can change the tempo. So if you want them to have a longer exhale, then you have a longer exhale. Light a candle, blow it out. Light a candle, blow it out. So maybe you start the song with shorter breaths to kind of match their energy where they're at. And by the end, you have them blow it out. Going really slow. I have a YouTube video that shows this so that you don't have to remember it. And it's on the resource page, I promise. Next one is called the Grizzly Bear Grump. Again, another really great proprioceptive movement song, but for a purpose, feeling grumpy and angry.
I'm a grizzly bear grump, I feel really mad, and when I feel bad, I make sure to move my body. I'm a grizzly bear grump, I feel really mad, and when I feel bad, I make sure to move my body. I can stomp my feet, squeeze my arms, twist my shoulders, stretch up and say, girl, I can stomp my feet.
Go through again, and then what I love about this song is that she comes here.
Hey,
We have a little instrumental break for a minute.
I'm starting to feel better.
Hey, I'm starting to feel better. I've done all of these things, and man, it's gotten it out of my body, and I'm starting to feel better. This is what we call the ISO principle. It's this idea that you're meeting somebody where they're at. You're giving them permission to be grumpy. You're giving them permission to feel angry, and you're giving them permission to stomp it out. How often, guilty as charged, do kids stomp because they're mad? My own kids, and we say, don't do that. Man, stomping is much better than throwing something. Stomping is better than yelling profanities. So I'm giving them this space within this song. I'm giving you permission to get out of your body. I'm giving you permission to squeeze. I'm giving you permission to twist, and I'm even giving you permission to say, grrr, man, I feel so bad. But I'm not leaving you there. Now I'm starting to feel better. This music has a purposeful shift. And what it's doing is it's meeting someone where they're at, and that's taking them where they need to be. This is the ISO principle that we use in music therapy. And we can utilize this across entire sessions sometimes, or across multi-sessions where we're trying to bring in music that's going to enhance someone's mood, that's going to maybe bring them, maybe they're feeling a lot of grief, and we need to bring them to a place where, yes, we're meeting them in that grief. We're allowing them to feel that grief. We're even letting them express that grief in the session. But before they walk out the door, I want them to be feeling a little less grief. Before they walk out the door, I want them to be feeling a little less angry. Or I want them to be feeling the opposite. Stephanie Lavelle is a master of doing this within one little song to help. I'm going to validate what you're feeling, and I'm going to help you feel better. This is a really great thing if you can find within music. She's got another song that is called If You Need to Cry, and it just gives permission. If you need to cry, it's okay. Just cry for a minute. And then by the end of the song, there's more of a shift in this piece. Now, this is a principle that you can use and you can take for yourself, for the people that you're working with, for the kiddos that you're working with. And you can create what's called an ISO playlist. You do this by identifying how you're feeling right now, and then you choose a song to match that. And then you decide what you want to feel, and you choose a song to match that. And then you've got to find songs that kind of bridge the gap for you. So let me show you, or you can listen for a minute. I decided to do a playlist about sadness. And the song that I picked for sad is The Sound of Silence by The Disturbed, which totally for me fits sadness. It might not for some of you.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you.
Now, I wanted to feel hope, opposite of sadness. I didn't just want to feel happy. I wanted to feel hopeful. And so the song that I chose opposite of that is the song called Make It Through.
Long day, tough night, just one of those weeks. I feel stressed out, run down, like you wouldn't believe. When I'm staring in the mirror, I can hear you whisper, just breathe, trust me.
Skip ahead just a little bit.
Even on a long telling you, we're gonna make it through. Don't let this be the end, and it's just the beginning. That mountain's gonna move. We're gonna make it through.
Okay, so this idea of we're going to make it through, right? I hopefully by the end of this playlist am feeling like, hey, you know what? I can manage this. I'm going to make it through. Now, the tricky part is the bridge between, and finding songs that are going to still validate that sadness for a little bit, that then eventually move you through. For me, Imagine was one of those songs that felt like a bridge. Still kind of this idea of, you know, I'm feeling sad about how things are going, but imagine what this would be like. And then this song called You Already Know were kind of that bridge for me. And this song eventually does come up in tempo and come up, so it doesn't feel like it at the beginning, but by the end, it does feel closer to that feeling of hope. These are really powerful and probably the most useful tool if you're working with teens. Certainly all of the things that we talked about can have some application, but I guarantee a teen's not going to want to get up and do a movement song. Most of what I have talked about before has been geared towards younger kids. This is going to be the tool that you can use with kids that are a little bit older and teens. And I want to give you a minute to kind of think about this for yourself while we're in this space and you can ask questions. So take a minute, identify how you're feeling right now, or a feeling that you often have, and choose a song to match that feeling. And if you want to throw that in the chat, feel free. But if not, you can just throw it on a scratch piece of paper. And then if you've got that, decide how you want to feel and choose a song that's going to match that feeling. And then see if you can fill in from there. To me, that's the hardest part, is finding the bridge songs that are going to still be this moment of, here I'm validating whatever it is, but it's less intense. And I'm going to come to more of a middle ground that's going to make it feel even less intense. And here I am, I'm switching into this feeling that's opposite of whatever it is. These are really good to use for yourself too. I love this. Baby Steps. Is Baby Steps the song that you are feeling, or the song that you want to get to? I love it. Thanks for being brave and sharing, Haley. Yeah, what a good song. Some Tom Petty. Yeah. So the other way that you could utilize this is, oh yeah, Dream On. Yeah. I love the musical choices from this group. Such great taste. The other way that you could possibly do this in the moment, creating an ISO playlist in a moment of dysregulation, probably not going to be possible, because they're not going to be able to think about what the opposite is. This is, here we are. We know that this happens often, right? This might be for a kid who has anger that comes up often, or that they might be feeling anxious often, or they might be feeling sad often. This is, here I am, I'm in my high brain space, and I'm ready to cognitively think about these things, so that this can be a tool and a resource for when I'm feeling dysregulated and I need to feel validated in that and move to a different space. But for small kiddos who are not going to probably be able to identify songs, you might create a playlist of a bunch of songs that have different feelings. Disney songs and kid-friendly songs and things that you can go through. And they might be sitting there and you're like, okay, I have no idea what to do with this kiddo right now. You might say, I feel like listening to some music, and I have this playlist. I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna play 10 seconds of each song until there's a song that you're like, yes, that's what I want to listen to right now. And then you listen to that. This is, again, a really great tool for you. If in the morning you're like, I need something and I don't know what that is, I'm going to listen to 10 seconds of multiple songs till I find what is going to feed me for the day. And then I'm going to do that. Fight song. Yeah. I love that. So ISO playlists are a really great tool to use as well. And you can use the emotion wheel if you want and pull that out, so they kind of have, this is the antithesis or the opposite of whatever the emotion is you're feeling. they have a little bit more choice there. Or you can just keep it pretty simple. Now, here's a slide of some musical resources. If I had been really smart, I would have put them in like, these are the songs to do when you need high motivation, low motivation. But I didn't. These are the songs and the bands that are typically, they have really great functional music, meaning it has a purpose to it. It's not just, let's listen to this song and feel better. It's going to make me move. It's going to make me breathe. It's going to invite me to do something with this kind of bottom up. The one exception to that is this song by Sarah Rogers called What My Body Needs, and could be a really great song to play as like this introductory idea to, let's talk about what your body might need in some of these moments. So probably more of a top-down conversation in a moment where someone is feeling regulated. The Goldfish song is awesome. You are correct, Natalie. It is a very fun song and so silly. And I think that's, again, I just want to say, like, these moments of dysregulation don't just have to come with, let's be calm. Sometimes kids need to just be given permission to feel silly for a little bit. And so giving them the Goldfish song, which is so silly, it's so fun, can be really good. But again, I say this, if you put on the Goldfish song and you sit there stoically and you're watching them in anticipation, like, here you go, here's the song that's going to make you feel better, it's not going to land. You have to be involved musically too. You have to be doing the things too, to give them permission to say, hey, this is okay. We're going to do it together. We're going to take this moment to connect. So here's our recap of the tools that you can use. Body percussion or some kind of rhythmic activity. Maybe let's find the most creative instrument you can in my office. You know what? Can you find something that's going to make some really cool sounds? I have a Band-Aid holder here, and I think if I can get it open the first time, it will make some cool rhythms. Be silly. Like, what can you find that's going to make music and make music together? You might move to music. This might look like rocking, swaying, doing actual movement songs that invite them to do something different. It might just be dancing silly. Uncoordinated movement is really good for the brain too. So just allowing them a dance break to do whatever they need to do is really great for their brain. You might draw to music, hum or sing. You might create an ISO playlist that could be used in a moment of dysregulation. And these might be things that you could think about for yourself as well. In the context of, maybe I have this kiddo and I don't have the time or capacity or think that they have the cognitive capability yet to create something like this, but I do know they really like kids songs. So I'm going to create something that is going to help in kind of these moments. Thinking about it responsibly, right? The fact that we can enhance someone's mood with music is kind of a big responsibility if you think about it. And so if we're being responsible. The other thing that could be really great is, you know what? I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling stressed. I need to listen to music, which might not be the case, but you can see visually what's happening with the kid. And instead of putting it on them, you're putting it on you. And you can come together in this moment of connection. They can say, oh, you know what? I'm not the only one that feels like this. Cool. And you can use the music. I did forget, there's one song that I wanted to share with you really quick. It is called I Need a Break by Stephanie Level. Such a good song. she goes into saying, like, everybody needs a break sometimes. This, great song for kids, but also really great for yourself too. If you're feeling overstimulated and overwhelmed, instead of saying, man, you're just too much for me right now, or this is too much, or I'm just too much, say, you know what? I have this song I would really love to listen to because I need a break for just a minute. Can we just listen to this song for a minute and color on a sticky note or something? And then again, it gives permission for the kid to recognize it's not just them. This is a human problem. This is a human experience. And us as adults are still sometimes learning how to appropriately regulate ourselves. So listening to functional songs like I Need a Break or Light a Candle, Grizzly Bear Grump, that have a purpose to them. Here I'm going to get them to breathe. I'm going to get them to move. I'm going to allow them to feel what they're feeling. And then music and transitions. These are all really great ways to help with regulation. I will just add my little caveat again, my little reminder. Using these, music is not owned by music therapy, but utilizing these tools is not considered music therapy. You are using music in a really therapeutic and functional way.